Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be continuing our journey of traveling around the world in 80 days. I'll link part 1 up there. It's not necessary to watch, but if you want to go on the whole journey around the world in order, you can start there if you choose. But tonight we're going to start in Europe, and actually we're going to stay in Europe the whole time. We are starting in Norway. We are on days 24 and 25. We're going to read about woofing it. Live and work on a flower farm in Norway for free. And this is a travel magazine. It's basically one long advertisement, to be honest, for travel. So this is a good example of that, learning about woofing. Let's see what that means. It's called woofing, or Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms, a practice that began in the 1970s to foster cultural and educational exchange, promote sustainability, and build a global, ecologically conscious community. You can find opportunities, which vary according to location and need, in more than 130 countries around the world. As a traveler, you choose available experiences according to the geographic region you want to visit, the type of practices or farming you want to learn or assist with, everything from harvesting coconuts to reindeer ranching, beekeeping, tending flower fields, organic farming, harvesting medicinal herbs, and more. And the amount of time you are willing to stay and work. People of all ages and even entire families are eligible to participate. Experiences can last for a day or two or span weeks or months. Listings on the woof.net website for openings will include the number of helpers needed, length of stay desired, some farms do set a minimum length of stay, types of accommodations, languages spoken, types of meals served, omnivore, vegetarian, or vegan, and potential learning opportunities and methods used. For example, vegetable farming, pig farming, baking, preserving fruits, renewable energy production, permaculture techniques, holistic management, no-till farming. Most farms schedule time for both work and play, expecting guests to help out for set times or tasks and use the rest of the day to relax or explore the farm and region. As responsibilities vary according to season, be sure to communicate clearly to make sure you know what you're signing up for. There is no monetary exchange for woofing. It is a trade of room, board, training, and cultural exchange for your time and help. As an example, the listing for a flower farm in Norway posts an opening for adult woofers, no children or pets, who are looking to stay a minimum of 3 weeks. The learning opportunities include flower and vegetable farming, arts and crafts, seed saving and production. The farm, 35 minutes from Oslo, near a fjord and beaches, incorporates biodynamic farming practices and hydroponics for the purpose of growing cut and edible flowers, and the hosts speak English, French, and Norwegian. Here's just some reviews from other woofers. For days 26 and 27, we're going to tiptoe through the tulips in the Netherlands. From the end of March to mid-May, the flower fields that have defined the Netherlands for centuries once again erupt to boldly paint the world, or at least 6,400 acres of it, with the fragrant and vibrantly colored petals of hyacinths, lilies, daffodils, roses, carnations, irises, and of course, tulips. The Keukenhof Tulip Garden, the most famous of the fields in the Bollenscheek region, which translates to the area of the bulbs, covers 79 acres and features 800 different species of tulips. Widely considered the largest garden in the world, it boasts more than 7 million flowers in a season. Keukenhof, which I'm probably mispronouncing, it means kitchen garden, a name that can be traced to the field's humble 16th century roots, is located in Lisse, outside of Amsterdam. and can be toured by foot, bike, boat, two-person electric Twizy cars, or helicopter. Visitors are asked to observe rules designed to keep the flower fields healthy and vibrant for the enjoyment of everyone. Despite the abundance of stems, it is considered rude to pick them outside of zoned cutting areas. Trampling the flowers is also prohibited. For those looking to venture further afield, several lesser-known but equally beautiful regions await. Beemster, North Holland, Texel, Flevoland, Drenthe, Gory Overflakkie, and Zeeuws-Vlaanderen are also ablaze with color and blooms throughout the season and offer tours, activities, and accommodations. Some vacation homes, such as a sustainably converted bulb barn in Hillegom, for example, can be rented smack dab in the center of a flower field. Pack a long lens camera for shooting deep into the fields, walking shoes, and antihistamines. Numerous other events populate the calendar during the Tulip Festival, a month-long celebration held at the peak of the season, including flower shows, live performances, and the annual Flower Parade extravaganza, which showcases beautifully designed flower-filled floats adorned with springtime petals and blooms. You can see some ladies here in tulip hats buying some tulips. Let's fall in love with Bruges on days 28 and 29. Established in medieval times, Bruges is distinguished as a UNESCO World Heritage City for its well-preserved buildings that stand as striking examples of Gothic architecture and date back to the 13th and 14th centuries. In addition to charming cobblestone streets and romantic footbridges that arch prettily across a network of Venice-like canals, the city is also distinguished by its towering belfry. The Belfry of Bruges, built in 1240, stands 272 feet tall and was one of the tallest structures to be built in its era. The chiming of the historic carillon of bronze bells housed within its walls remains in operation today. Of course, it is more than the fairy tale setting that makes Bruges one of the most romantic weekend getaways in the world. It could also arguably be considered the ultimate destination for dessert decadence. It is a chocoholics mecca. Generations of chocolatiers have built their businesses and reputations in Bruges and continue to push the limits of excellence. Chocolate truffles, bonbons, bars, pralines, and candies are displayed like jewels in shop windows, and chocolate cafes, complemented with a coffee or hot chocolate bar, allows guests to linger. Conduct your own taste tests or sign up for a guided tour. Like this. To rest your palate in between chocolate shops and plates of warm Belgian waffles, take a spin through the city's canals on a guided boat tour to get a view of the scenic gardens and architecture from the waterways. You can see here. Challenging the chocolate makers' lock on culinary excellence, the global influence of Belgian beer culture was officially recognized by UNESCO in 2016 as a part of the country's intangible cultural heritage, a particular point of pride in Bruges. Bruges Zot is the city's own official beer, and the region is dotted with large-scale breweries as well as microbrew operations. Luckily, the city is a walkable one, and having a car isn't necessary. In fact, the walking tours of Bruges, past storybook houses and centuries of history and legend, are worth the trip alone. Visit the chapel of St. Basil inside the Basilica of the Holy Blood, named for the relic allegedly containing a piece of cloth stained with the blood of Christ. By its own right, the church, built from 1134 to 1149, is considered an extraordinary example of Romanesque style architecture and stands untouched by time. Finally, no romantic trip to Bruges is complete without a stroll around Middelwater Lake, also known as the Lake of Love. Local legend has it that couples must cross over the bridge together to ensure a lifetime of eternal love. Next, for days 30 to 32, we're going to Paris. Always a good idea. Look at that pretty picture of the Eiffel Tower in the Seine down there. Let's see what it says. Experience the real Paris with a curated collection of off-the-beaten-path adventures aimed at getting to the authentic heart of the city of love. To begin, take it from the top. 1,000 feet above the ground, there is an apartment once belonging to the architect Gustave Eiffel in the famous tower that bears his name. Although no one is allowed entrance to the historic room, visitors who gain entrance to the summit will be able to view the private space through a window and imagine what it must have been like to live among the clouds. After enjoying the view, descend back down to earth for exploring and, of course, eating. Each year, the Confédération Nationale de la Boulangerie et Boulangerie-Pâtisserie Française, or the French Association of Bakers and Pastry Chefs, judges the best croissants in the city and picks a winner. In 2023, Chef Eric Teboul of Chez Meunier took home the honors. Make a pilgrimage to taste them for yourself, or check to see if a new roster of awards has been served up. After breakfast, head to the Latin Quarter to browse Shakespeare and Company, an English-language bookshop on the banks of the Seine. Founded by American George Whitman in 1951, the shop has long been a hub of expat literary life. An ardent supporter of artists, writers, and creatives of every stripe, Whitman made it a habit to provide a place to stay for up-and-coming artists who were invited to sleep on cot-like benches placed between the book stacks for the price of reading a book a day, helping out as needed, and writing a one-page biography. So far, more than 30,000 writers and creative thinkers have taken George, and now his daughter Sylvia, up on their offer. Above the doorway to the store's library, he wrote, "Be not inhospitable to strangers, lest they be angels in disguise." Oops, there we go. Goodness. There we go. Just across a bridge on a sliver of land in the middle of the Seine sits one of the most spectacular chapels you'll see in your life, Sainte-Chapelle. Built in the 13th century as a reliquary to house the important relics of the Passion of Christ, namely the crown of thorns and a fragment of the true cross. The upper chapel is designed with 7,200 square feet of stained glass depicting Old and New Testament stories that absolutely glow in the light. A miracle of craftsmanship, it is quite literally a jewel box. I think this is it up here. How gorgeous. Continuing across the river, 59 Rivoli is a haven for working artists who are given free rein to decorate and embellish the warehouse-like building as they wish and use the interior studios at no cost. Or is that, what is it, 59 Rivoli? Visitors are welcome to take self-guided tours through the studios for free, observing creatives in their natural habitat. Every inch of the place is considered a canvas, and no surface has been left untouched. A little gritty and very cool. After working up a thirst, make a pit stop at Harry's New York Bar. Yes, you're still in Paris. Constructed in 1911, the gleaming mahogany bar was transported from NYC's 7th Avenue during Prohibition and installed where it sits today. It was here that cocktails such as the Bloody Mary, Sidecar, Blue Lagoon, and White Lady were allegedly born, and George Gershwin once famously composed music on this very piano. In 1924, clever barkeepers began a tradition of polling Americans abroad as to who would win the U.S. presidency, and their earnestly recorded votes have been wrong only twice in 25 elections. Stravinsky Fountain, a colorful, amphirously shaped sculpture, was designed by Jean Tinguely and painter Niki de Saint-Phal in a Dadaist style meant to emulate the emotional music of Igor Stravinsky. The circus-like interactive bubbler is located next to the Centre Pompidou. a building designed of glass and metal with exposed ductwork and unvarnished industrial elements, used to showcase works of modern and contemporary art. With myriad eclectic galleries and museums to explore both above ground, like Musée Edith Piaf, Croix Branly Museum, Villa La Roche de la Corbusier, the Argonaut Submarine, Maison de Victor Hugo, and below, like the 15th century catacombs of Paris, the archaeological crypt, the Paris sewer system, Wine Museum of Paris, there's something to satisfy everyone. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Café Campagna inside the illustrious Musée d'Orsay is an Art Nouveau-inspired restaurant located on the backside of a giant clock and worth the price of admission. There it is right there. How cool is that? Arguably the most scandalous places to eat in Paris are the petite etched mirror salons of La Perouse, the seductively luxe fine dining establishment infamous for its dangerous liaisons. Comprised of a series of private dining rooms, the elegantly elaborate, recently renovated interior recalls the myth and the magic of the turn of the last century. In its original heyday, powerful men brought lovely ladies who were not their wives to the salons and lavished them with diamonds, which they then tested on the mirrored walls for authenticity. The tongue-in-cheek practice continues to this day by ice-clad celebrities such as Madonna, George Clooney, and Kate Moss, who scratched out "It's too late to go to bed" for posterity. Midnight in Paris? Oui. You can see that cafe down there. For days 33 to 35, we're going to hit the Camino. Flip this again. It's much easier for me to read if I fold the magazine like this. The cathedral is believed to contain the remains of one of Jesus' original 12 apostles, St. James the Great. For hundreds of years, pilgrims have walked distances of up to 500 miles seeking personal growth, a deepening of faith and devotion, or forgiveness and salvation. Historically, the latter could also be achieved by paying someone else to do the walk for you. Today, however, the experience, as well as the option of hiring your way to salvation, and the motivation behind it have evolved and changed. Those who walk in modern gear equipped with cell phones, sturdy shoes, and sunscreen may be doing it as an exercise of their faith, or simply for exercise, travel, adventure, and camaraderie. More than 300,000 people around the world make the entire journey each year, while others opt to walk shorter sections. The average age of 21st century pilgrims is reportedly closer to 60 than 20, and to travel a full path can take 30 to 35 days for those logging 15 to 16 miles each day. That's a lot of steps. For those looking to experience the iconic trail without taking a month off, there are Camino day tours and other short trips, with guides or without, which can also be customized for those with mobility or accessibility concerns. Some itineraries position travelers to begin 3 days away from the cathedral and trek from there. It is also possible to section hike the Camino over time, starting from the beginning of a path and hiking one stretch at a time, picking up where you left off after each session. This type of hike can be undertaken over a matter of months, years, or a lifetime. In the past, pilgrims or peregrinos on their way to pay homage at the crypt of St. James would simply leave their homes and start walking. Today, however, there are 9 favored routes with a number of variations. The popular treks differ in length, history, difficulty, amenities, and scenery. Let's take a look at this scenery. How lovely. The French way, also known as Camino Français, is the most favored, with the final 60 miles of the trail being the path most often traveled. Beginning in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in southwest France near the Spanish border, the route includes both flat and mountainous terrain and passes through Logroño, Ponferrada, and Sarria. The Portuguese way, or Camino Português, is the second most popular, starting in Lisbon and passing through places such as Porto, Pontevedra, and Santander, as well as long stretches of scenic coastline. Those looking to capitalize on ocean views start their journey in the Portuguese city of Porto and walk alongside seaside towns, boardwalks, estuaries, and remote beaches. Traditionally, trekkers along the Camino stay in budget-friendly communal accommodations called albergues. Similar to youth hostels, the albergues allows peregrinos to rest, socialize, and share their experiences with fellow travelers. Municipal albergues are operated by local community governments and equipped with dormitory-style rooms and shared bathrooms, kitchens, and common areas. Privately operated albergues ask a slightly higher rate, but travelers will get a private room. Religious organizations such as monasteries and convents also provide basic accommodations along the route and are run by volunteers. Of course, hotels, Airbnbs, and bed and breakfast accommodations can also be booked in advance or provided as part of an organized tour. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. And then here's the cathedral, the final destination. For days 36 through 37, we're going to wave watch in Nazaré, Portugal. Look, and there's the surfer. Look at that wave. My goodness, my goodness. Case in point, watching towering 100-foot waves crash in the Atlantic just beyond the sandy shores of Nazaré, Portugal, is an experience as beautiful as any diamond and arguably more rare. The monster waves, considered the largest rideable waves for surfing on Earth, are fickle when it comes to performing on cue, and even the annual big wave surf competitions, which enlist the aid of jet skis to tow surfers out beyond the breaks, are scheduled only 48 hours in advance. The best odds for wave hunting in Nazaré occur in winter months between November and March, when ocean storms prime the region's deep underwater canyon for peak conditions. Dedicated enthusiasts and professional surfers camp out in the area for months waiting for the perfect wave, while those of us who can't move to Portugal for the winter must rely on wave-watching forecasts, live webcam footage, and alerts, like those found on nazarewave.com, for notification of the super swells. A big wave yellow alert will be issued 72 hours in advance of a possible competition and will be upgraded to a big wave green alert, indicating go time 24 hours before a scheduled contest. The other option is to hop a flight and hope the waves show up when we do. Even if they don't, spending time in the quaint seaside village of Nazaré and the surrounding communities is a laid-back adventure all its own. Explore local markets, indulge in fresh seafood, and park yourself on a beach towel to watch world-class surfers hang 10. Even during off-peak times, the waters off Nazaré are surfable, if not always the gnarly giants we're hoping to see. Less aggressive waves and waters can be enjoyed on nearby beaches for those looking to go for a swim or try their own hand on the sparkling swells. Take a break, catch some rays, pack sunscreen, and keep your camera ready. Look at this wave. My goodness. That's an intense one, isn't it? All right, this is going to be our last adventure for the night. For days 38 to 40, we're going to travel back in time on the Orient Express. Look at this. The whodunit tale of intrigue has captured our collective imagination since its publication in 1934 and has inspired 2 films, but for many it created heightened curiosity and desire for seeing the world through the window of a picturesque train. Luckily, although slightly different than the Hollywood version, the fantasy remains possible. Agatha Christie's novel was based on a real train, the Express d'Orient, which began operations in 1883 and traveled from Paris to Romania through Munich and Vienna. In 1891, it was renamed the Orient Express. Decades later, the 1930s ushered in a golden era of train travel, and the demand for new trains and routes exploded. Posh new carriages, identified as Orient Express style, rolled into duty, whisking passengers to an expanded variety of destinations in signature high style. The train may be considered to be the original Orient Express. The train many considered to be the original Orient Express discontinued service in 2009, but entrepreneurial train enthusiasts have curated new experiences for travelers. Luxury sleeper service trains continue to roll across Europe, offering classic decor, gourmet meals, white linen table service, live music, piano bars, and of course, martinis shaken not stirred. A journey aboard Belmont's Venice Simplon Orient Express is one such opportunity. White-gloved, uniformed porters pick up guests' bags at the platforms as travelers are invited to ascend the vintage stairs and travel back in time to an atmosphere of elegance and glamour. I'd love to be on a sleeper car someday. Hand-restored Art Deco dining cars from the 1920s and 30s serve seasonal meals by chefs Jean Imbert, and the bar car features a pianist accompanied by the sound of gently clinking glasses and cocktail shakers. Breakfast in bed, high tea, and a midnight buffet of lobster rolls, truffled club sandwiches, and champagne complement the dramatic vistas as the train steams its way gracefully between Paris, Venice, and Istanbul. A little further north, the Edwardian-styled Belmont Scotsman, featuring elegantly restored vintage Pullman cars, rolls past highlands, castles, lochs, and glens. During the 4-night journey from Edinburgh to Kyle of Lochalsh, the train weaves its way along the coast of Scotland. The Scotsman boasts the first spa carriage on rails, the Bamford Haybarn Spa, which offers facials, massages, and manicures. In Portugal, the presidential train, that once served as the Portuguese royal train and transported dignitaries such as Queen Elizabeth II, Pope Paul VI, and heads of state, emerges from semi-retirement for a few weeks each year. In September and October, the restored 1890 engine and carriage host 50 passengers aboard the 5-car, Michelin-starred restaurant Experience on Wheels. Lauded chefs serve 5-course meals in the dining car and pair the menu with fine Portuguese wines for journeys that last 1 to 4 days. All aboard. What's this say? Agatha Christie. It says trains are wonderful. To travel by train is to see nature and human beings, towns and churches and rivers. In fact, to see life. That's so nice. All right. So that will be it for tonight. We'll continue our journey next week and see more incredible sights around the world. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. You don't want to miss the next episode. And don't forget to give this a like. Let me know your favorite destination down in the comments. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.